Welcome to Saltons Marina in Poole. It's the end of November and we've got a beautiful cold but sunny day to test this boat here. Now this is the Rand Leisure 28. Rand are a Danish based company. They are very well known for producing boats with all kinds of different engine options. So all of them are available with electric engines, but what's less well known is that you can also get them with both petrol and diesel engines, inboard and outboard. This particular version here is the Leisure 28. It has an inboard Mercruiser 350 horsepower engine. That is a 6.2 litre V8. It's on a stern drive, but you can also have 300 horsepower outboards if you want to. But I'm hoping that in this particular setup, it should be an absolute peach to drive. So we're going to take it out of the harbour, out to Old Harry Rocks, give it absolutely everything, see how it handles in the sea, show you all around the boat, and come back with a complete test. Okay, we're just going to give it a bit of a top speed run. We haven't actually got fuel feed or revs at the moment, so we're going to have to try and get those at a later date, but what we should be able to get is a flat out run. So let's start winding up and go for it. Now it's so nice and light, it gets going really quickly. Keep piling on the revs. So we're doing 30 knots already and we're building. We're up 35, 36, start to trim it up a little bit. 39. I think we got too much trim on it there, we're starting to lose speed, so trim it back down a bit. 40. I think we've got the wind and the tide against us. 41, 42 and a half. Just get a little bit of flat water, we might get a bit more trim on. 43. Okay, let's try that in the other direction too. So that's interesting, we've got these zip weight automatic trim tabs, and I think because they're trying to keep us at a nice level ride, they're actually trying to cancel out what I'm doing with the engine. This is the Rand Leisure 28. Now the first thing you need to know about this boat is there are various different versions of it. There is a 27-foot bow rider. This is the Leisure 28 with the closed bow and therefore a cuddy cabin up front. You've also got a really wide choice of engines. So you've got petrol or diesel, inboard or outboard, or even electric. As you can see, this is an inboard petrol powered boat. It's got a 350 horsepower V8 inboard with a stern drive leg. And the price for this starts at £149,000. But in this particular configuration with all the kit you see on it is 215,000, including VAT. So what do you get for your money? First of all, we'll start at the stern. We've got a nice big bathing platform. There's a lovely sunbed here. We've got some really nice detailing. You can see there's a bathing ladder that goes in these plugs here. We've got really nice cleats. They pop up and down, so really nicely finished. Very attractive kind of diamonds quilted effect on the sunbed itself. All three of these cushions are actually fixed in place here, and you've also got an adjustable headrest, so you can either have it at this kind of length, but also if I come up here you'll see that this folds over and then that moves up there, so now you've got a really nice headrest and a full length sunbed. So obviously not quite the weather for it at the end of November, but you can see it is a full-length sunbed. A few other little details down here. We can see we've got a shower in here, exactly where you want it. So if you've had a nice swim, you can come off and shower down with fresh water. We've got built-in speakers, and then all the way along, rather than grab rails, we've got these little fender hooks. So they just pop up fender hooks and means you just loop it round. But the whole point of this boat is a really nice, clean, minimalist design with good quality finish. And it's just little details like that that separate it a bit from some more basic traditional boats. Now, big seating area here. We'll have a look at the engine later in a minute, but let's carry on forward. Really big seating area. Now, at the moment, the trend seems to be for walk-around boats, which I get. You know, it's very easy to move about, but by using the full width of the boat with no side decks at all, you do get this lovely big seating area here. So, see, massive wrap of seating. We've got a lovely teak table that folds out. And then this seat back here also folds over. Let me just move that temporarily. Put that back, shift that across, and then you've got this huge wrap of seating here. And I often tend to go out on boats like this. You want a load of people on them. It's a really effective party boat. It's approved for up to 12 people, and there is space for all of them to sit round this table in a really nice, sociable situation. And under all of these seats, there's really good storage. You just lift them up. They're not on rams or anything, but you can see we've got all the fenders in here, and it's the same under all of these seats. They all lift up, and there's more storage under all of these. So plenty of practical storage on board. So just fold that up. Over on this side, we've got the galley. Okay, it's not a full galley, it's a kind of outdoor wet bar area, but we've got a couple of cup holders here. We've got really good access to, we've got the fuel tank, we've got the grey water tank, and we've got the water tank all here. Got a lovely teak prep area here. Behind here there's a fridge. See that? Nicely tucked away. But again, nice to have it behind a proper moulded unit. We've got storage here, we've got the tonneau cover in there, and more storage behind there. There's a little sink here, which they've left exposed. I don't know, it might be nice to have some kind of cover on that, but actually the teak is so nice, it does look rather classy like that. And then under this unit here, rather surprisingly, there's actually a little heads compartment. So here is the heads compartment. It's not the largest, but I'll just give you some idea of scale by getting down here myself. So you can see it is a little cramped, but nevertheless it is a separate heads compartment. Yeah, not sure I want to spend too long down there, to be honest, but nevertheless I'd sooner have one than none at all. Now over on the helm, we've already seen that that's a reversible backrest. We've also got a lift up squab, so that folds up and that becomes a nice little squab to sit on. And again, like the rest of the boat, it's a really clean design. So there are no analog dials at all. We've just got these twin Simrad screens, and that controls absolutely everything on the boat. All we've got here is one switch for the battery, for the fans, and that is it. Lovely little piece of teak down here, which the throttle is mounted on, just brings it towards you a little bit closer, and the bow thruster. Got a Lumar bow thruster, handy to have, and then a little armrest here, and that lifts up, and there is just an extra bit of storage, really handy for your sunglasses, for your phone, and there's even a little USB socket down there. Now there's lots of lighting all around the boat. It's not switched on at the moment, but you can see we've got little recessed LED lights under here, and that controls the whole mood lighting. Really nice chunky stainless steel hinges on places like this, beautifully clean finish, and then this wraparound windscreen. And we've already been out, and actually this is really effective even at speed. It's just high enough to make sure that the main flow of air, the apparent breeze, goes over your head, and because it comes a long way back, it also provides good protection back here. Now access to the foredeck is up and over. We've got a lift out, or a fold over central section of the screen. You can see that just rests in place there, and then there's a couple of steps up here onto the foredeck. So nice flat foredeck, there are no guardrails around it. Again, that's very much part of the clean styling, but because it's flat, you do actually feel nice and secure up here. There's access to the anchor locker, but you can see the anchor itself is already on its own protruding anchor roller. So we've got a bow roller that goes a long way forward, and that's because of the vertical bow. It needs to project quite a long way forward to make sure that it drops well clear of it. Now again, we've got these buttons for hanging the fenders off here. So once we come back down into the cockpit, we've then got access to the cabin itself. And that's got a nice gas strut just to hold that up, and then a firm latch on there, and you can see there's a little magnetic catch down there that holds that in place there. And there's a drop down into the cabin. It is quite steep, just a little vertical step down into it. Not a lot of space down here. Again, very nice and clean. You can see there is a V-berth structure, but also a fill-in cushion. All the wrapping is still on here. But what we have got is some natural light. There's a window coming through to the helm station here, and then there's a pair of reading lights up there. They're not switched on at the moment. And a couple of storage places. There's a USB socket there, so you can charge your phone overnight. Cup holder, another little storage unit there. And then under the cushions, there is a bit more storage under there and access to the bow thruster. So, pretty basic, but does give overnighting potential. And crucially, with that enclosed bow, it also gives you a little bit more security in a big sea or so on. It just means you've got a closed bow rather than an open one where you could just pick up a bit of water on it. So I've now been out and had a chance to really sea trial this. And there's a few things that are immediately apparent. The first is how nice it is to get back to a proper inboard stern drive engine. So although I'm a big outboard fan myself and I've got one on my boat, it is nice to have the engine mounted nice and low in the boat. First of all, it keeps the weight down and the centre of gravity down, but it also means you haven't got an engine cluttering up your view over the stern. So that feels really good. The engine itself has come on a long way too. It may be a big 6.2 litre V8, but it's also really smooth running. So nice and refined, nice and quiet. We've got it running at the moment on idle, and you can barely hear it just purring away back there. Now the hull itself, one of the things around do is build them really nice and lightly. Now that obviously pays dividends when you're powering it with an electric motor and a limited battery supply. You want a really nice, light, efficient running hull. And of course, when you have a big V8 in the back, what that means is really strong performance. So it feels nice and light, you've got really good pickup, good acceleration. Now the hull itself is a traditional modified, fairly deep V. It's quite deep V at the back. There's no steps or anything. You've got a very nice, slender bow, that stem, vertical stem that cuts through the waves very nicely. And in a bit of a chop, it works fantastically well. If you keep it nice and level, it rides really cleanly. You can feel it cutting through, it grips well. You do notice that the structure itself is not quite as solid and sturdy and rugged as some boats. Now, that doesn't really matter on a day like today when you've got just a bit of a chop. But in a bigger swell, we have been out in some of the bigger swells, you do notice just a little bit of flex and movement. Nothing too dramatic, and to be honest, on a boat like this, you're not really going to go out. It's not a rough weather specialist. It's not intended for that. It's intended for nice days afloat, largely in the summer. Okay, we're in end of November now, but with the sun out, it feels superb. You've got this lovely area all around you. And because it's light, it also feels nimble. So you've got really agile steering. It's nice and efficient when you're running along, and that pays dividends too. Even with a big petrol engine, you don't want to be burning too much fuel. So the fact that it's only 1,600 kilo and runs really nice and smoothly at sort of anywhere between 20 and 35 knots, that's a big benefit. So really classic sports boat, really nice to get back to it. You've got this lovely open cockpit, you've got this smooth riding hull, nice and agile, strong performance, everything you'd expect of a big open day boat.